I'd like to present you on behalf of the district with the
little fill out like a safety report. And you're going to read that and be able to fill that paperwork out on this page.
Okay.
I want to say thank you. It's really nice when people are recognized for doing good things for people with like no reason to do them other than out of the goodness of their heart. And it's nice to be recognized. Thank you very much.
My name is Christine. I am a retail center marketing director and a published author. I actually started really some of my teachers, they really enjoyed what I was writing, and I eventually moved into eventually full novels. I published my first book 1 month before I graduated high school at Spruce Creek. I think my favorite memory was bringing that actual hard copy to the teachers who supported me and showing them what I go to some of the schools in Volusia County now and talk about writing and publishing for the younger kids who may not have had that kind of experience. Come and they present us with these 10 or 30 page books that they're working on. It's incredible to see. To give those resources is fantastic experience.
And he's gonna hang out with me. I'm talking to him. I'm gonna keep talking to him.
Volusia County Schools would like to present you with the Great People, Great Deeds Award.
There we go. I appreciate it very much. I like it. That makes me feel, you know, makes me feel very they make it too easy. I'd love to be able to love on them like Jesus.
we're based in New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
One of the things that I learned from Volusia County schools that helped shape me and prepare me for communicate and interact with other people, maybe other people that are a little bit different from me, and maybe step outside of my comfort zone a little bit.
I'd say my fondest memory of high school is definitely like prom. We actually went together, so that was a good memory for me. Like being with friends and my future wife just really was awesome.
What made New Smyrna Beach High School special to me was appreciation for the arts, and so there's tons of resources and tons of options there for somebody who is passionate about.
First photograph I ever took in photography class. Any advice I would have is to take advantage of the program it's real life lessons and things I learned in photography and English class that they still apply today. And without them, I would definitely not be where I am today.
We're just so that help shape me as a person and who I am today.
I'd like to present you on behalf of the district with the
but I'm have to fill out like a security report. And you're gonna read that and be able to fill that paperwork out on this page.
Okay.
I want to say thank you. It's really nice when people are recognized for doing good things for people with like no reason to do them other than out of the goodness of their heart, and it's nice to be recognized. Thank you very much.
retail center marketing director and a published author. It started poetry that was really enjoyed what I was writing, and I eventually moved into full-length novels. I published my first book 1 month before I graduated high school at Spruce Creek. I think my favorite memory was bringing that actual hard copy to teachers who supported me and showing them that I go to some of the schools in Volusia County now and talk about writing and publishing for the younger kids who may not have had kind of. They come and they present us with these 10 or 30 page books that they're working on, and it's incredible to see. So give these resources is fantastic experience.
Perfect. And he's gonna hang out with me. I'm talking to him. I'm gonna keep talking to him.
Volusia County Schools would like to present you with the Great People, Great Deeds Award.
There we go. I appreciate it very much. I like it. Makes me feel, you know, makes me feel what I'm doing. Enjoy it very much. And they do it. I love to be able to love on them like Jesus. And that's what
We are based in New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
One of the things that I learned from Volusia County schools that helped shape me and prepare me for career communicate and interact with other people, maybe other people that are a little bit different from me, and maybe step outside of my comfort zone a little bit.
I'd say my fondest memory of high school is definitely like prom. We actually went together, so that was a good memory for me. Like being with friends and my future wife just really was awesome.
What made New Smyrna Beach High School special to me was appreciation for the arts, and so there's tons of resources and tons of options there for somebody who is passionate about the arts. I really appreciate that.
First photograph I ever took in photography class. Any advice I would have is to take advantage of it's real life lessons. Think learn photography and English class, they still apply today. And without them, I would definitely not be where I am today.
There were just so many things that help shape me.
Honey, she was joking. She said it like this millennial, like this kid, like this it. Ready, sir? That was funny. That was it.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our school board meeting. Today is September the 10th, and we're glad you all are here and glad everyone who is able to listen via the internet. So would you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, thank you for being here, and we would like to begin our meeting the way we do every meeting, and that is by introducing ourselves to you. So let's begin this evening, and we'll start with Ms. Cuthbert, representing District 3. Next to Ms. Cuthbert is Mr. Ruben Colon, representing District 5. Wolf with us today. Next, all the way down to your far left, my far right, is our agency clerk, Connie Spire. Did I say Kirk? Agency clerk. That's a new job, Superintendent. Add that to the organizational chart. From District 1, School Board Member Jamie Haynes. Next to Ms. Haynes, the Vice Chair of the School Board from District 2, Ms. Ida Wright. And our Superintendent is Mr. Timothy P. Egner. My name is Carl Persis, and I'm the Chair, and we're glad, again, you all are here. Items for approval on this agenda this evening are items 1.03, 2.02, 4.01, 6.02, 7.01, 20.01, 21.01, 21.02, and 24.01. We have public participation times throughout our meetings. First for items on the consent agenda, and then there's another time certain at 5 o'clock, unless we're running a little bit later, and it could be a little after. Or in the case of this meeting, it could be over before 5 o'clock, so we'll have to work with that. Time will be provided for public comment on any action before a board vote is called, and time will also be provided at the end of the meeting for public comment on items of general interest pertaining to public education. Our district vision statement is to ensure all of our students graduate with a superior 21st century education. And we also like to have board members, if they desire, to share any news they would like to share. And it's been a while since we've been together. We've had a hurricane, amongst other things. So let me begin. I'll begin tonight with Ms. Haynes. Do you have any news to share?
Thank you. So I'd like to first say thank you to everyone that served in the shelters. I had the opportunity to go out and visit mine, and DeLand High was packed full of people from early on, but Freedom, which was a special needs shelter, it was so wonderful to see all the nurses and people from the health department also there to help those individuals. And even at university, it was interesting that the first group to check in were 4 older ladies who lived alone that were looking for just a safe place to be. So I want to thank everybody, because I think they all did a fabulous job in preparing for it, executing it, and then taking care of everything afterwards.
Yeah, they sure did. Well said. Ms. Wright.
I too want to ditto what my colleague said. The emergency management team for Volusia County Schools did an excellent job. I got a chance to come out to the command center. I visited all the schools on the east side of the county. And as one resident, Ms. Betty Powers, who was at Palm Terrace, says she was at the Ritz-Carlton. They felt they all were treated with dignity and respect, and they were very appreciative of the service that was provided. But I'll give a little more detail when we get to the hurricane update.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Ms. Cuthbert.
I too want to congratulate everyone who gets together, and it's definitely a team effort that everyone has to put together. Our opening of our schools, I mean, of course, it begins months earlier. So for smooth, you can tell how smooth it was because it was so well prepared ahead of time. Thank you very much for Cypress Creek Elementary and Sweetwater Elementary. They were mentioned in an editorial in the News Journal about how wonderful they were to their guests. I also want to say I love the way the schools nicknamed their inns, and I thought they were all so clever, and I forgot what they were called. Paradise Palm Inn. Yeah. I mean, that was just, it was perfect. I also want to announce that Chisholm Elementary was supposed to open yesterday, but because of the hurricane, it isn't. And the first day open will be on Tuesday, the 17th. So it's the first time we have another brand new school opening. So congratulations to the construction workers, the architects, because being on the selection committee, watching it from just a concept idea, from input from staff, especially teachers who work in those classrooms, as well as the students. Students got to participate in designing it, and all of us who are so much involved. It is a community, and especially when you go by and see it lit up at night, it's just beautiful. What a great addition to that community. So thank you.
Awesome. Cannot wait to see it. I really cannot wait. Mr. Cologne.
So I won't echo what they all said, but I absolutely feel the same way. I had the pleasure of visiting the shelters that were in my district, and it was amazing. I will confess I had no idea, and I'm the new guy, so I can use this excuse. I had no idea how much we did at the shelters. And the thought that our schools, principals, system principals, district staff, I got to meet Sunshine Bush, which was, she was at, we met her at Pride. So I told her I'll never forget her name. And everybody else who took part in bringing it together. One of the things that really impressed me was exactly what you all described, was the relationship that these folks had with the patients. And I say patients because the folks that were at the special needs shelter or the folks who actually went to the shelters were looking for someone to help care for them in the event of a storm. And it was the cutest thing ever, because it was like, they were playing card games together. It was like entertainment, almost like they needed that. So once again, I just want to thank everybody, and Greg and your team, Sarah Lee, all you guys who just worked nonstop to execute that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ms. Cuthbert,
I
sure.
also want to say the updates that we received, the board members received about our condition of our schools and what was happening with the storm. I mean, we had heard from you all at least twice a day, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, is Greg Aiken here? Greg, can you stand up? I think Greg needs to have a nice round of applause. Sarah Lee here too? Sarah Lee's here. Okay, I didn't realize it. Thank you both. Thank you both. It was just awesome. Of course, my wife and I, who are principals and run these shelters, we were sitting together thanking God that we don't have to go do this again right now. But anyway, thank you all that did. It's quite an experience, to say the least. Now, our next item is item 1.03. That's approval of the minutes for the August 20, 2019 special session. Members have received the minutes. Are there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, that we'll accept those minutes as they were submitted. Our next item is item 2.01. Mr. Egner, do we have any agenda changes?
Yes, we do, and this is pertinent to the storm discussion. There were several budget items that were supposed to come due, and we lost several days of being able to complete that information. And so there will be some, I'm requesting some agenda changes all related to the budget. That would be item 22.01, item 23.01, item 24.02, and lastly, item 24.03. And they will be brought, I think, actually to the next board meeting, but we just lacked a few days to get the numbers right, and I know how seriously you take last-minute changes to the agenda items.
We understand, and we understand the reason for having to make those changes. So you have heard the recommendation to remove those 4 items, 22.01, 23.01, 24.02, and 24.03. Do I have an approval of the agenda minus those 4 items?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Colon, and second by Ms. Haynes. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. All right, our next item is 3.01. This is recognition of the Florida Future Farmers of America FFEA state winners. Presenter, Mr. Daniel Cox. Mr. Cox, if you could take that center chair there, that usually works out pretty good. And introduce yourself and your title, please, so people on the internet can hear.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Chairman Persis, Superintendent Egner, members of the board. My name is Dr. Daniel Cox, and I'm a curriculum specialist for career and technical education in Volusia County Schools. I'm excited to be here today. We actually have 3 separate recognitions that we're doing. The first recognition this afternoon will be highlighting a winning state team from DeLand High School, and then that will be followed by recognizing 2 teachers who have won some accolades over this summer. So I'd first like to ask Dr. Melissa Carr from DeLand High School and Mrs. Lori Smith from DeLand High School to join me.
Welcome.
Okay. Our career and technical education.
You never looked better, Mr. Cox.
Our career and technical education programs are based upon the 16 national career clusters. Today, we are here to recognize students who have excelled within the career cluster known as agriculture, food, and natural resources. This cluster represents a highly technical, ever-changing sector of the global economy focused on the needs to meet national and global demand for safe and abundant supply of food, fiber, and fuel. It is through this career cluster that our young people develop the knowledge base and necessary skill set to ensure we can continue to provide safe food, shelter, and clothing to people around the world. We have more than 3,000 students currently enrolled in agri-science education curricula throughout the district. 8 of our middle schools and 9 of our high schools offer programs in agri-science curriculum. Those programs include animal science, aquaculture, food science, horticulture science, natural resources, and ag mechanics. A complete agri-science education program requires the active engagement of students in FFA, which used to be called Future Farmers of America and what is now known as the National FFA Organization. Through this career and technical student organization, our students are able to demonstrate their increasing levels of knowledge and developing skill sets in a competitive setting. These students we are recognizing today won first place in the Poultry Evaluation Career Development Event, or CDE, at the Florida FFA State Convention in Orlando this past June, and will be traveling to the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis the end of this October. Participants in the Poultry Evaluation CDE select live meat type chickens for broiler breeding, evaluate and place live egg type hens, and rate the finished product by evaluating and grading ready-to-cook carcasses and parts of chickens and turkeys. This event is part of the Animal Services Systems Career Pathway. Scientists and technicians in animal systems careers research and study genetics, nutrition, and the development of the animals they work with, while developing more efficient ways of producing and processing meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products. And I'd like to turn it over at this time to Dr. Melissa Carr.
Good afternoon. I have the honor and privilege of introducing Ms. Lori Smith to my extreme left over there. She is our FFA advisor. Ms. Smith has been teaching for Volusia County Schools for 21 years. This is her 3rd year advising at DeLand High School, and let me just tell you, she and these awesome students have taught this city girl a whole lot about future farmers of America. Ms. Smith has been heavily involved in the FFA and 4-H programs in Volusia County and around the state. She is very well known. She graduated from Purdue University, where she studied agricultural education. She lives in DeLeon Springs with her husband, Philip, on a small farm, and they actually use their own personal farm as a training site for many of our students who raise and show their own livestock. And a fun tidbit about Ms. Smith, if you noticed on the district's website, she was highlighted as the district's Great People, Great Deeds honoree last spring. And that's Ms. Smith for you. So I'm going to turn it over to our awesome advisor and ask her if she would please introduce our superstar Bulldogs.
All right, Ms. Smith.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with these young students. And so it took a long time, a lot of effort, and we had a lot of help, especially there's a young lady in the back, Abby Marion, who helped coach the team, who put a lot of effort and time in it as well. Yes, thank you so much. Team members are Megan Christopher. She's a junior at DeLand High School. She was also the reserve champion high individual in the state contest. Caitlin Wise, who's a senior at DeLand High. She also placed in the top 10 individually at the state contest. Taylor Kelly at the end. She's a junior at DeLand High. And Jersali Brumley, who just graduated from DeLand High and is currently a student at Daytona State College. I'd also like to recognize Mr. Brett Brandner, who's in the back, who's here to support us. So I want to thank you all for inviting us to this and allowing us to see you and you to see us and see a little bit about
It's just a pleasure to see all of you. It's fantastic. We congratulate you on this award. And for all your efforts too. I mean, throughout. So you are really a city girl? Is that what I'm hearing? Who was the city girl? You're the city girl. Oh, okay. I couldn't figure out how she went. That was a huge transformation. Okay. All right. Good. Now I get it. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation for this?
Yes, I do. I recommend the recognition for winning the 2019 Florida Association of Agriculture Education Outstanding Young Member Awards.
All right, you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I so moved.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes, and a second by Ms. Cuthbert. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Yes, and if you, you're going to recognize one other person, two other people. So students, if you want to, I don't know if you want to sit or sit down for just a minute, and because we want to take a photo. Yes.
Would any of them like to speak?
Would any of them like to speak? Well, I don't know. We can ask them. Would any of the students like to speak? They are looking at each other. It looks like it's a consensus. They picked somebody. All right. Oh, everybody wants to speak. Okay.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Wise. I'm a senior at DeLand High School, and I'm one of the poultry competitors on the team. On behalf of the poultry team, we'd all want to say a big thank you to Lori Smith, our ag advisor, Brett Bradner, and Abby Marion, who helped get us to nationals and have us win the team, because without them, we wouldn't have done this at all.
Oh, wow. That's so nice of you to say. Yay, congratulations.
Thank you guys for recognizing us as well.
Thank you. Anybody else? Dr. Cox.
Okay. So we have two more recognitions today.
Yes.
And I'd like to call up Mrs. Kathy Gibbons, principal of Taylor Middle High School, along with Miss Amanda Forstater for this next round of recognitions.
Alrighty.
And as they're approaching, I'd like to just kind of orient the conversation a little bit. As all of you know, in education, we use a lot of acronyms and a lot of initials for things. And so we're going to give you a quiz at the end of this.
Oh.
So I just want to say that in terms of teachers supporting their professional organizations, career and technical education is supported at the national level by the Association of Career and Technical Education, otherwise known as ACTE. And within ACTE, there are 16 different career clusters, and each of our divisions break out by those clusters. And so there's one for engineering, there's one for manufacturing, there's one for hospitality, there's one for health science, there's one for agri-science. And the group for agri-science is known as the National Association for Agriculture Education, or NAAE, okay? At the state level, we have the Florida Association for Career and Technical Education, which is FACTE, and within that, a Florida Association for Ag Teachers called FAAE, Florida Association for Ag Educators. So just kind of putting all of that into context, because I'm going to be throwing those names around a little bit. Agriculture education is continually faced with a shortage of qualified teachers. Unless those who have been trained enter and remain in the profession for a period of several years, the shortage of qualified teachers will prevail. As a means of encouraging young teachers to remain in the profession and to encourage and recognize participation in professional activities, the National Association of Agriculture Educators, NAAE, created the Outstanding Early Career Teacher Award Program, which is sponsored by John Deere as part of a special project of the National FFA Foundation. NAAE members who are in their 3rd through 7th year of teaching are eligible for this award. The Florida Association of Agriculture Educators, or FAAE, is our state affiliate of the national organization. Today, we are here to honor Miss Amanda Forstater, who was recently recognized as Florida's Outstanding Young Member, or Rookie Teacher of the Year, by the Florida Association of Ag Educators. Miss Amanda Forstater began teaching agri-science education at Taylor Middle High School 4 years ago. Ms. Forstater's teaching philosophy centers around the Siddiqui quote that says, quote, "Be the person you needed when you were younger," end quote. As such, she strives to create a safe, hands-on, experiential learning environment for all her students, regardless of their background or interest level in agriculture. In doing so, Ms. Forstater creates a space where her students understand they are safe to ask questions and make mistakes. Ms. Forstater utilizes lots of hands-on and group projects. Her current teaching load includes semester-long courses for both 6th and 7th grade, and a year-long course for 8th graders, which also offers students the opportunity to earn an industry certification. Ms. Forstater works to scaffold her classes so that all of her students are working on similar units at the same time, just at various levels of the project, depending on their own level of expertise and experience. Furthermore, nearly all of Ms. Forstater's students participate in supervised agricultural experience projects, or SAEs, developing their sense of responsibility, time management, and basic record-keeping skills. In addition to the classroom, Ms. Forstater demonstrates leadership in the community of professional agri-science education organizations, locally, statewide, and nationally. On the local and state level, Ms. Forstater routinely collaborates with other Volusia Ag teachers on program-related projects related to curriculum mapping and lesson planning, and including creating FFA officer manuals and planning leadership opportunities for FFA members. She's also actively involved at the state level, where she participates in our FAAE midwinter and our FACTI summer conferences, where she takes advantage of curriculum and program development in addition to taking a leadership role with the FAAE Professional Growth Committee, where she's now serving as chair of that committee. Beyond that, Ms. Forstater has attended the NAAE regional conferences the past 3 years. In regional conference, we're in Region 5, and that includes the 7 most southeastern states. She's attended that and co-presented with Taylor's other agri-science teacher, Mr. Kyle Hearn, at the 2016 National Conference about mock livestock auction. Ms. Forstater was recognized last year as the NAAE Teachers Turn the Key Award winner for Florida, and she participated in last year's Florida Agri-Science Education Leadership Program, which is sponsored by the Department of Education and the Department of Ag and Consumer Services. She also has shared global experiences studying agricultural trends abroad in Korea, Trinidad, and Tobago. Ms. Forstater is definitely a rising star in Volusia County Agri-Science, and we are excited to keep her here.
Yeah, we are certainly excited. Let's give Ms. Forstater, thank you.
And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Gibbons.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Taylor Middle High School, as you're aware, I hope, is very, very proud of Ms. Forstater. She's an amazing teacher and a very powerful part of our agriculture program at Taylor. Our program has 2 teachers, as Dr. Cox had said, Ms. Forstater and Mr. Hearn, and over 200 of our 1,150 students are involved in the program. We have 2 high school pathways and 1 middle school pathway, and all 3 offer certification in their area. The students in these programs are active in our community, and they're active legislatively. They are learning to be civic-minded citizens. This well-rounded program is respected in the state of Florida and will host a pre-service tour of over 30 educators from the University of Florida on Friday, September 27th. As you can see, we're very, very proud of the agriculture program at Taylor. The heartbeat of Taylor Middle High School are our very talented teachers, and I applaud Ms. Forstater as one of our best.
We do too. Fantastic. Superintendent?
This is a recognition item, so we actually don't have to vote. I just want to thank you for all that you do, and especially for what you do for our students.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, did you say, and by the way, I'm very impressed with your acronyms and how fluently you just say those. They just roll right off your tongue.
I did practice a little bit ahead of time.
Well, you did well. But did I miss somewhere in there, how many years have you been doing this?
This is my 5th year teaching now.
Your 5th year, in all 5 at Taylor? Well, my goodness, lucky for Taylor. And we are very proud and honored to have Taylor and DeLand High School, just leading the way in this area. So what we'd like to do now is to take some photographs.
One more.
We have one more. Oh, I'm sorry.
Recognition.
I'm always rushing to get these photographs.
Great things come in 3s.
Yes, you're right. Okay, so number 3.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and please stay so we can get these photographs of everyone. Yes.
And at this time, I'd like to call Mr. John DeVito, principal of DeLand Middle School, and Mrs. Carrie Owen, agri-science teacher for DeLand Middle School.
Great.
I'd also like to point out that, as I mentioned, our agri-science teachers are very involved in their professional teacher associations. And one of our agri-science teacher who currently serves as our, in our district role as our industry certification specialist, Ms. Amy, is Ms. McAllister here? Ms. Amy McAllister this summer was voted and inducted into the role of president for the board of directors on the Florida Association of Career and Technical Education.
Whoa.
So she is
Congratulations.
leading the charge for the state this year. So. All right, ready? Yep. You want to go first? Okay. Research is clear. Career and technical education programs excite students about learning, and more importantly, our programs help students make meaning of their learning. That in turn contributes to graduation assurance and leads to increased graduation rates for the district. However, that measurement of success and the excitement students feel in the classroom is largely dependent upon the person in the front of the classroom. Today, we are also here to honor Mrs. Carrie Owen from DeLand Middle School, who was recently recognized as Florida's Outstanding Agri-Science Teacher from the Florida Association of Agriculture Educators, and she was also recognized as the Outstanding Teacher of the Year for Florida Association for Career and Technical Education. So both awards. Two incredible awards. The Outstanding Teacher Award Program distinguishes FAAE members who are conducting the highest quality agriculture education programs. The award recognizes leadership in civic, community, agriculture, agribusiness, and professional activities. Outstanding agriculture educators are innovators and catalysts for student success in agriculture education. The application process requires candidates to submit documentation articulating their accomplishments on the following points: teaching philosophy, classroom instruction, experiential learning, leadership development, partnerships, marketing, and professional growth. Similarly, the mission of the FACTI Outstanding Teacher of the Year Award is to recognize teachers who are providing outstanding career and technical education programs for youth in their respective fields, in this case ag, and communities. Recipients of this award must have made significant contributions toward innovative, unique, and novel programs that are serving to improve and promote career and technical education. The criteria for this award include a description of the teacher's significant accomplishments for career and technical education, descriptions of professional memberships and activities, professional contributions, including presentations and publications, professional experience and educational background, civic and community involvement, and of course they have to have letters of support, one from their immediate supervisor, one from a colleague or a former student, and one from a community, industry, or business person. It's one thing to be recognized as the overall best teacher in your particular division, such as agri-science, but it's something entirely different to be recognized as being that highly effective level of educator for all of career and technical education in the state. Mrs. Owen is the recipient of both of these recognitions and won them in the same year. Congratulations. I'll turn over to Mr. DeVito at this time.
Well, before I begin to brag about Miss Owen, it's a great day for our students in Volusia County. I mean, the FFA program at Taylor and DeLand High School are amazing, and our students are better for it, and going forward is going to be great. Miss Carrie Owen is a product of DeLand agriculture programs. She was both a DeLand Middle School Terrier. She's actually one of 19 Terriers we have on campus, which I think is really cool when we counted those up when we started, as well as a DeLand High Bulldog, and has been teaching agri-science education at DeLand Middle for more than 11 years. During this time, Ms. Owen has developed a strong and vibrant nationally recognized program which has positively impacted more than 3,000 students. Ms. Owen emphasizes rigorous science concepts, principles, and applications throughout curricular and makes learning process exciting and engaging for her students. Ms. Owen holds her students to the highest standards and requires them to reach their goals. Ms. Owen's agri-science program and students have received local, state, and national recognition numerous times over the past decade. DeLand Middle FFA chapter has been recognized as one of Florida's finest and/or premier chapters for many years. In addition, FFA members in her program have been recognized at the district level for winning the opening and closing ceremonies every year since 2012. But more importantly, Ms. Owens works conscientiously to help her students understand the magnitude of becoming involved in civic-oriented service work and the importance of becoming community leaders. Beyond the classroom, Ms. Owen also serves our early release professional learning as a leader, working with other agri-science teachers in our school district on furthering curriculum development. She is one of the representatives on the 2015 Florida Agri-Science Leadership Team and has served as a DuPont Agri-Science Ambassador during that same year. Ms. Owen believes in the power of belonging and supporting her professional organizations in leadership roles, including the local level of the Volusia Vocational Agri-Science Teachers Association as treasurer, the Florida Association of Agriculture Educators as reporter, the Florida Association of Career and Technical Education, and the national level of the National Association of Agriculture Educators. As a direct reflection of her work, in 2015, Ms. Owen was selected as a Teacher of the Year by her peers at DeLand Middle School. More globally, she was recognized in 2014 as the NAAE Outstanding Young Member of Florida, and this year will be recognized as the NAAE Outstanding Teacher of Florida. All of this evidence supports the notion that Ms. Owen is a world-class teacher. Ms. Owen is a strong proponent for student success in agri-science education and a dedicated professional who instills the love of agriculture in those around her. She is truly an innovator and a catalyst for student success in agriculture education in Volusia County. On a side note, this year DeLand Middle School has implemented what we are calling the Terrier Way. The Terrier Way has 3 guiding principles or words. The first is pride, and we ask the teachers and students to take pride in yourself, your community, your school, and everything you do. The second is commitment, and that's to be committed to everything you do. Always give 100%. And lastly is excellence. Always strive for excellence. Expect excellence from your students, your colleagues, and your schools. Ms. Owen clearly models the Terrier Way for her students and colleagues every day.
Congratulations. Ms. Owen, do you have something to say? I mean, you come on.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to the board for the support of all of the students in Volusia County, and to me and my fellow teachers for giving us the opportunity to apply for these awards and give our students these opportunities for furthering their success in life. I'd like to thank my administration for their support and allowing me to do all the fun things that I do with my students and being a part of my professional organization. I'd also like to thank my parents and my students, because if they weren't there, why would I be here? So,
well, let me ask you this. You've been doing it 11 years?
Yes, sir.
And so what's changed from year 1 to year 11 here? What do you see changing in the students, changing in what you're teaching them?
Teaching them, the concepts have changed a little, getting more with technology to keep up with the students. But I still try to go back to the hands-on, get outside, get dirty. It's agri-science.
Good.
So trying to bring them back to their roots a little bit.
That's great to hear. Great to hear. Ms. Cuthbert, did you want to say, had a question?
Yes, I've been involved in FFA for a long time. I think that any agri-science program on any school is the heartbeat. It's the true heartbeat of the school. In fact, we have such a strong FFA. It's gone from high school, it's gone down to middle school, and it's even, we see it a lot at even our elementary schools now. A lot of elementary schools in my own district have goats and chickens as well. So children are learning from elementary all the way up. About 11, 12 years ago, I got to go to a state competition for FFA. I've been to a lot of competitions, but I've never been to one that was so rigorous with public speaking, essay writing, quiz bowl, presentation of plants, animals, as well as fish. So what you do as an agri-science teacher, you have to handle guest speakers, a parent association, you handle your business partners, many times you have a farm or you're part of a farm program. You also have to handle, and this is not even the students, but so much other, and your job is 24/7, especially during the summer. So we do not really truly appreciate what you do as much as we should. So I want to extend, and I'm sure the board feels the same way, our heartfelt appreciation for all the agri-science teachers that we have in this district and the students who make you look really good.
That definitely helps.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Now can I take a photo? Is
You
it
can
okay?
take a
Okay.
photo.
All right, we can take a photo now.
Thank you for
let's,
time on your
you're
agenda.
welcome.
Thank you all for supporting our
Congratulations,
program.
Ms. Smith, Ms. Forstater, Ms. Owen. You all are amazing.
On the ledge.
We're going to be in recess for about 5 minutes, and we'll be right back. All right, we're going to reconvene our meeting, and our next item is item 4.01. This is a resolution recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month, and we have a few presenters, so we'll give them a minute to come forward. And if you would be so kind as to introduce yourselves, please.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Chairman Persis, Superintendent Egner, members of the board. My name is Amy Hall. I'm your Director of Student and Government Relations, and I have beside me two of my esteemed colleagues. I have to admit, I have the best department in the entire district, and these two gentlemen are part of that department. To my left is Jose Rivera, our Coordinator of Advanced Programs and Graduation Assurance. And further to my left is Nicholas Prince, who is our Minority Achievement Specialist. And they're here today to bring to you a proclamation.
We welcome you. Yes.
Good afternoon, Chairman Persis, school board members, and Superintendent Egner. We're honored to be here today to present a resolution designating the month starting in September 15th and concluding October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month. This year's state's theme for the essay and art contest is celebrating public service. Our district and state have greatly benefited from the commitment to service demonstrated by our students, faculty, and staff of Hispanic heritage. As such, we're asking schools to engage in this year's contest, as well as conduct their own school-based celebrations. Schools will receive information regarding the art contest for students in kindergarten through 3rd grade, and the essay contest for grades 4 through 12. All winners will receive a prize, but the winners of the essay contest will receive a 4-year Florida College Plan scholarship provided by the Florida Prepaid College Foundation. So we're encouraging all our schools to help promote these contests, and we're also encouraging them to nominate exemplar Hispanic educators for the Excellent in Education Award, which is meant to recognize the great work Hispanic teachers are doing at each level, elementary, middle, and high. So with that, we thank you for your time, and we respectfully request that you approve this resolution as we recognize September 15th through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month throughout Volusia County schools.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Come on, Mr. Prince, you got to say something. You know, you can't you don't get to sit in that chair unless you say something. So.
Sí. It's important to point out that Volusia County has made it a point to demonstrate that we celebrate year-round, not just during that month. So I thank Volusia County School and the board members to make that a point year-round. So thank you for that effort and that commitment.
Fantastic. Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, the superintendent recommends approval of Resolution 2019-30, recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month.
All right, you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Mr. Colon, come on.
So moved.
Had me scared there for a minute. Okay.
She got it.
And Ms. Wright seconds the motion. Further discussion, comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed. And the motion carries unanimously. And thank you so much. Those words mean a lot. And I'm so proud of what we are doing in Volusia County Schools. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all again. All right, we are moving on with our agenda. This is items, well, we don't have any 5, so 6.01, removal of items from the consent agenda. Do we have any items to remove from the consent? Yeah. And 6.02 is approval of the consent agenda items. So do we have any board comment? Yes.
Okay, so in looking through the consent agenda items.
Yes.
Item 11.02.
Hold on, and let me get that one, Ms. Haynes. 11.02. That was the change order item? Is that what I'm looking at?
It's for DeLand Middle. Yes. It's a change order?
Yes.
So reading it, it talks about the campus-wide, air conditioning, ceiling, and lighting project. So I just didn't understand why the change order was for auditorium seating and how that went in with air conditioning, lighting, and...
Okay, it's probably part of the same project, but I'll let Ms. Morrissey come forward and explain that. Good evening.
Board. That was a campus-wide project, and it did involve some flooring projects, flooring in certain rooms. And when you do a project like this, where it takes 18 to 24 months to get through the entire campus, one of the things that happens, and invariably happened at this particular school as well as some of the others we've done, is we encounter conditions that warrant, are you going to address it now while you have a design team and/or a contractor on premise and you can do it relatively quickly, or are you going to end up coming back at another point in time and creating a project? And so we had some flooring issues. DeLand Middle is one of the old junior highs.
Yeah.
And so as an old junior high, it still reflects the traditional auditorium and, of course, cafeteria. They're separated by a movable wall. And while we were in that particular space at the time with the principal that was there at the time, we discussed whether or not the school was able to accommodate the lunch periods during inclement weather. There is some outdoor eating there, but in inclement weathers, one of the things we find ourselves with these particular schools, the old junior high, is that we cannot accommodate the lunch groups that we have. And so a decision was made, because we needed to revisit flooring anyway, was that we would redo the flooring and install additional cafeteria tables so that the space could be flexible, used still as the auditorium, but also be used as a cafetorium with the movable wall, opened or closed, depending on circumstances. So
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Let me give it back to Ms. Haynes, see if that
And
answers.
that's fine. It's just that the title of the
The
project
title of it.
Right.
did not, and so when you were putting
Understood.
forth a change order to put in for seating, I was just trying to make the connection between the two.
Yeah.
I have one more.
Yes, yeah, please, yeah.
Item 11.17, which is involving Indian River.
Yeah,
And so
replace exterior
It says
doors.
replacing exterior doors, but when you look, and once again, it's a matter of how it's described. The original project was for roof replacement. Do you want to see it?
Is this establish a project?
Yeah, established project.
Established
project,
Okay,
replace
so
exterior
it shouldn't be
doors.
part of the roof replacement. It should be a standalone.
So the item that was uploaded for us to view talked about the roof replacement of buildings 1 and 4 through 6, but the description on the board docs talked about replacing the doors. And so I was just confused as, I don't know if we're replacing doors and we uploaded the wrong
It sounds
Sounds
like
like
there-
it.
I-
Sounds like it.
Sounds
because
like there's
they don't match up with the
Right.
title, what the detail is. So I think the most important thing to know right now is, are we replacing establishing the project, replacing exterior doors at Indian
I don't have the
River?
agenda in front of me, but there was an established project
Yeah, to replace
to
exterior
replace
doors.
doors. There's not an attachment for that. It's just to establish the project. Right. And then,
Okay, so.
no, 11.13 should be the CFI for the roof replacement?
It is 11.13.
Okay, hang on. The problem is I opened I read them and I leave them open when I'm looking at them to see what we're doing. You're right. That one is the roof one. I apologize. So there's nothing to show about the doors are already replaced.
No, this is just to establish a project to move forward to do that. And there is no attachment for that.
No, there isn't. Sorry, you had 2 Indian River and I had one open and confused.
It's okay. Are we good? Are we good?
I'm good.
We're okay? Okay. Are there any other consent agenda? Thank you, Ms. Morrissey.
Thank you.
Can I just
yes,
ask one more
yes.
question? What
Ms.
year was Indian River? Do you know when Indian River was built?
In Indian,
Late
I was
80s.
gonna
Late
say
80s, but I can't
early
give you a
90s.
specific year. I
So,
don't know it off the top of my head.
Is there a reason, is it because it's, you know, on the east side that the doors that worn out, that we have to replace all of them?
I think it's a combination of the age, but the location in particular. All of Southeast, we see, on the east side in general, we see wear and tear faster than on the west side, but in Southeast, the salt air tends to impact even more so. So this is an aging issue combined with the weather.
From multiple hundred yards from US 1, just west of US 1. But right on the other side of it, along with Edgewater Public, Chisholm Elementary, and several other elementaries just going right up the road, and New Smyrna High as well, there's a railroad. And so when you have the salt air, and the Indian River is just one block east of US 1 at that point. So, and then and it's widening up in the Mosquito Lagoon. There's a narrow point beachside, so it gets, because I'm around the corner, so we get all of that salt air, but also the rumbling of the trains. And trains go up and down 2 or 3 times a day. So I'm sure they wear and tear after a while.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question. Anyone else have a question about or any item on the consent agenda? All right, then, let's see, where are we? Discussion, approval. Do I have a motion?
Consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
Second.
From Ms. Wright. Any other comment on the consent? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. And now we are down to item 17.01, Superintendent's announcements.
Yes. I'd like to make the following announcements. Professional Development Day student holiday will be Monday, September 16th, 2019. The Community Forum Superintendent Search, Monday, September 16th, 2019 at 6 p.m. DeLand High School, 800 North Hill Avenue, DeLand. Focus Group, VUE, View, at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the View Building. Community Forum Superintendent Search, Thursday, September 19th, 2019, 6 p.m. Deltona City Hall, 2345 Providence Boulevard, Deltona. Focus Group, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Community Forum Superintendent Search, Monday, September 23rd, 2019, 6 p.m. Holly Hill School, 1500 Center Avenue, Holly Hill. And the next regular school board meeting, Tuesday, September 24th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m., Boardroom, District Administrative Complex. That concludes the announcements.
Okay, and we want to add one.
Go ahead.
I was just told that the View meeting is going to start at 3:30.
Yes, okay, thank you for that correction. View meeting will start at 3:30 instead of 4. And then we also added, right?
Yes, the one that Ida and I share, that is the community forum that was scheduled for last Thursday, the 5th of September, which had to be canceled, has been rescheduled for September 25th, which is a Wednesday. So it's 2 weeks from tomorrow, and it's at the same place, same time. So it's at the South Daytona Port Orange Chamber of Commerce from 6 to 8.
And was there a focus group before that one or no? It's just.
I don't think
okay,
so.
I don't think so either. Okay, and that starts at 6.
6 to
Great.
8.
Okay.
Ms. Albert, so the time change to 3:30 is accurate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, those were superintendent announcements. We are moving on then to the next item, 18.01, superintendent's presentations, district update about the hurricane.
Yes, indeed. I'd like to ask that Greg Aiken and Sarah Lee Morrissey come forward and give all of us a kind of a recap of the last week's events. Thank you so much. I need to say up front, and I know accolades were handed out a little bit earlier, and I thank the board so much for recognizing the hard work of the school-based and district staff who were involved in this. We also had great county partners who we coordinated heroes in the room, and you can't name them all, but the two most prominent are in front of you. They spent days in preparation. They spent every night at a shelter. It was inspirational to go any time of the day and night into the control room, and Sarah Lee was managing 16 things at the same time, and Greg was out and about to the bunker, the control center, and coming back, and it was just tireless effort, well planned, well executed. They could not have made anyone more proud.
Thank you. And again, we're so proud of you both. So, Mr. Aiken, you want to start?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Greg Aiken, Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Persis, board members, Mr. Egner, thank you very much for your opening comments. Definitely appreciate that. You know, as you can see in front of you, we started many days prior to any announcements, and all the news media kind of come on board with Hurricane Dorian. And then, unfortunately, it hung out down there at the Grand Bahamas in the Bahama area for 37 hours, but that was a Cat 5. That's the worst one ever in the Atlantic, definitely for Bahamas. The forecast changed over every day. It seems like every day I went over to the briefings, and I was getting 3 briefings a day, and it changed every briefing. The time shifted back and forth, left and right. One minute was going to hit the Treasure Island coast. Next minute was coming up, skirting all across the East Coast. I do want to thank Sarah Lee definitely and the team. There's a bunch of them. We'll kind of get to that later on. But outstanding performance by all of our team members, district-wide, and all of our partners, like Mr. Egner mentioned earlier. Some of the factual information is still, even though it was off our coast, and we were very fortunate to only get gust of winds in the tropical force range. The sustained winds were very, very frightening for the East Coast side for us. And it was still a Cat 2, Cat 3 coming by us. I went down to a Cat 3 and back up to a Cat 3. Huge storm. We did get some rain. I know the west side of the county didn't get as much as the east side of the county, and there wasn't much damage this time. But I do want to kind of reiterate that 3 or 4 inches of rain on the East Coast, and some of the surge damage that we did receive on the coast was still there. And so the reality of that storm coming in and every day pushing back opening of shelters and getting our own homes ready, and everybody foregoing home and coming into work to make sure we do what we did for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday was outstanding work by the team.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, Mr. Egner, I too want to thank you for your opening comments, each of you. It is very meaningful to us to know that you recognize the kind of effort that goes into something like this, and certainly appreciate the letter to the editor, Mr. Persis. So in some of your opening comments, you spoke about our shelters themselves, where really the people who were working our shelters, our colleagues, your principals, your APs, other district staff were one-on-one, many times one-on-one, with a very fragile population in many, many instances. And in some ways, it may be the only time where one of our elderly comes into one of our schools. And I think that's a good thing, because otherwise we're such a niche industry, so to speak, and people don't realize what's going on in our schools. So in that regard, I think it's good that we provide that service, but there's no question it takes a toll on the individuals involved. And I think one of the things I try to do, because I'm right there with them, kind of saying, my Labor Day weekend just was ruined. And this literally felt like Groundhog Day, where every day it was, oh, no, not today, it's 2 days from now. Oh, no, not today, it's 2 days from now. But one of the things we did is recognizing that servant leadership that so many of our principals and administrators do. And so we had a little contest while we were in shelter mode, and that was name your shelter. And so what I have here is you can see some of the unique nature. We had a tie. The tie was between Hotel Palm Tiki, which in case you don't realize, that's Palm Terrace, and Casa Dorian de Taylor.
I like that.
And it literally was a tie, and we flipped a coin. The winner was Hotel Palm Tiki. But we also did a couple other little things to try and keep the teams moving forward. Who had most pets, which went to Hinson. And, because this storm just hung out, and all of us, whether we were working the shelter or at Olson, we were just like, oh my God. So we did Best Shelter Video. And the winner of Best Shelter Video, that one was tough because River Springs, Plaza de Swamp, really got creative on us. They had 3 videos that they submitted. You had to watch all 3 before you got the message, and the message really was how bored they were waiting for this storm. In any case, Sweetwater won because they were putting on an entertainment show for their guests. When we're preparing for shelter duty, Greg represents all of us at the EOC, but one of the things that Greg and I will work on together in preparation for his visits to EOC is which schools are going to be opened and how many. And of course, some schools never have a choice because they are designed specifically for special needs. So those people are always doing extra duty. But as we learned in 16 and 17, when we opened 24 and 22 shelters respectively, they were not all needed. So one of the things that Mr. Aiken did this time is really work hard advocating for fewer shelters. So we ended up opening with 14. And I think, as you all know, on Tuesday in the afternoon, we closed 4. And that was because they were not needed. We consolidated. We did have some people at the shelters, with the exception of Plaza de Swamp, and those people were transported, if they did not have their own transportation, to another one of our shelters. So they continued to be sheltered by us. So on the bottom of this slide, you can see what we believe was our maximum, which was during the storm event, which was 11 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday. When Greg came back on Tuesday, he was telling us, okay, it's 24 hours of these winds and these rains. And so we're all realizing that evening and well into the morning on Wednesday, we'll all be dealing with the storm event. And as these storms sometimes tend to do, they shift. And so Wednesday morning,
we're still waiting for the winds.
Like some people actually got to sleep Tuesday night. He literally came back to Olson at 8:05 and said, and we had told all of our shelter managers to be prepared for a Thursday closure. He comes back at 8:05 in the morning and says, we're closing. And we had sent transportation home because they weren't to come back till Thursday morning. And so we looked at each other, and pure chaos proceeded to occur for the next 3 hours, because as soon as we let our shelter managers know, we could almost hear the happiness that
it was orchestrated chaos, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say there was, because I was there was a little bit of euphoria before the chaos.
Yeah.
But it truly is a team effort. I would like to thank Kelly. She joined us for this storm event. She hasn't participated in one before, and so she was working with Mr. Egner and Greg and I on Saturday and Sunday as we kept thinking we were making plans and communicating out, but did a great job helping us. And I think you heard that her communication to our stakeholders was recognized. And so I like to personally thank all my colleagues that served in the schools. I know many of them sacrificed some personal trips and family time to serve their community. And I know that we all appreciate that. But anyway.
Thank you again. Mr. Aiken?
So just going to summarize real quick. We had a little over 300 employees that actually assisted in Hurricane Dorian. And like Sarah Lee mentioned, without them giving up their time as well. I know Saturday and Sunday they were home kind of waiting when we're going to blow that whistle to come go to work. But we were still working, trying to figure that date, that what time we're going to have to open this up and go with that. So
on Friday night, I communicated to everyone that they had Saturday to do whatever they wanted because Sunday morning we were opening.
Right.
And then Saturday, like mid-afternoon, it was, okay, we're not going to open tomorrow, so go outside. It's beautiful. Do something fun.
On Sunday, right? So yeah, 650 hours of shelter time that we actually put in for the man hours that we had. That's how many hours we were sheltering and helping others. Schoolway Cafe, I can't name them all. 300 employees. Definitely some stars, superstars out there.
Yeah.
Definitely, coming back and saying, okay, now we're going to change everything, bring people in, brought operators back in, let's close these shelters. The winds were way down. Let's start our inspections. We were gearing up for Thursday because anytime you open shelters, you're looking forward to closing them.
Absolutely.
So we were geared, ready to go. We just didn't know what time that was going to be. And then when it shifted off a couple more miles, it was like, okay, we're good to go. It's a rainstorm. So Kelly did an outstanding job, making sure we measured all the time, get all that out there. We were back to normal on school on Friday, and we had some little hiccups on Thursday. We had to do all of our inspections. ABM did an outstanding job sanitizing, disinfecting those shelters in the areas where we housed a lot of people, and got us ready to go for Friday morning. We had a couple very minor damage, a couple shingles here and there, a couple trees down, a couple schools that had power, didn't have power, a couple feed issues, a couple issues on Thursday morning when power came back on, it lost it again. We had to work on, but by midday we were ready to go, and we were just finishing up the, button hatches down and, polishing the brass and all of that, getting ready for the kids back on Friday. So outstanding job by your team, Volusia team, that actually stepped forward to make sure that we were there to help our community.
And we didn't have any vandalism or anything of that
None.
nature?
We were very fortunate. We did very good. The fairgrounds also opened up as well. I want to thank Jim Judge and Suzanne Conchin, thank you, and Joe, I forget his last name, over at the EOC, and also George Reckenwall, outstanding. I was invited to all of their meetings, both actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday we opened up, and we were still rocking and rolling through that storm. So good partnership with Votram. They did a great job for us as well. Good partnership that we had to help getting our evacuees in and out. And the law enforcement, beach patrol, and corrections as well that helped us staff our shelters, along with DeLand PD and Daytona Beach PD as well. They did a great job. So thank you, everybody, for that.
Yeah, we certainly do.
It's a bunch of people.
Superintendent.
No, I think that is an excellent summary. Again, unless you ever open the hood on something like this and see really how it works, you just can't imagine it. And I will say that at the county center, the level of camaraderie and the level of coordination that we had with all the other players was phenomenal. They very much respect Greg, Mr. Aiken.
Yeah.
And so he really made that work as easily as it possibly could under very difficult circumstances.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to our governor. I think this time, he really took his cues from the locals at each district, the EOCs, if you will, and I thought he was really forward-thinking in that, and rather than it come from the state down, he was kind of taking his information from the locals up, and then giving direction based on what you were telling him. Mm-hmm. So that was different, as you know, from years past.
Definitely.
Very different. Since you mentioned that,
go ahead,
I'd be, remiss in not saying, I was getting calls from the state and they were always asking, what do you need, what do you need? Well, usually it was like, right, I'll tell you, but I don't think I'm gonna get it. So I had kind of a perfunctory conversation. I said, we don't have enough nurses. And I said, I know it's very late in the game, but maybe make a note of this for the next time around. The next day we had 11 nurses.
Yep. See, and I do want to shout out to our nurses as well, because the health department provided 2 nurses for the special needs shelters, 12. The rest of the nursing staff are our staff, our nurses that are in the schools day in and day out.
That's amazing.
And they were there, and they helped all of our.
And that is
You sent me
really
the
tough
photo.
work.
And Schoolway Cafe. And
Schoolway
Sheriff's
Cafe was
Office.
here, right? Schoolway Cafe,
Sheriff's
yeah.
Office.
Yeah, and Schoolway Cafe, of course, that's one of the best times of the day at a shelter, feeding
time.
Feeding time, because, it is kind of boring, and food is something to do. Miss Wright, yes.
And so, Greg and Sarah Lee, I'm sure you will have a wrap-up meeting with the county, and they probably will ask you a question because I've complained. This is my second hurricane, and when I went to the elected officials roundtable yesterday, I complained again. We can't say enough but thank you to you all. I actually tooted a horn about the communication, because on the county level, some of our colleagues felt like they didn't receive the communication like we did. And I was able to tell her, well, this is what's going on, and they're having a meeting here. And she's like, well, how do you know that? I said, well, we get an email probably every 2 hours. I mean, I'm sorry they didn't communicate. But my
Sorry
biggest
about those emails, too many of them maybe.
No, but we were able to share on our social media platforms to our constituents. So thank you, and I was able to share it with my colleagues. But my problem is this hurricane, like it was 2 years ago. I still think it's unfair that the municipalities and the county do not have personnel to help run the shelters. And so I did speak about that in the meeting yesterday. I said, great communication, great job, we thank you, but 2 things that I really noticed during this hurricane that kind of concern me. The special needs centers are well staffed. They have cots. I mean, it's just nice. But when we go to our general population, I believe that our municipalities and the county should help with cots. I think all the shelters should have enough cots, because I don't care how many messages we send, and I don't care where we post, you still have people who can't or do not have air mattresses or a cot or anything to sleep on. And I went to Mainland High School, and like I said, I visited every shelter on the east side for 2 reasons, because one of the comments last time was, well, you open it for your students. I said, but if you want to know the truth, every shelter that I visited, if we had 50 children total, and that's really high, I know we did not.
Right. Yeah.
It's really our citizens. It's not just Volusia County Schools children, it is Volusia County citizens.
That's correct.
And so we had more citizens than we did children. But we had an 85-year-old, and the store was closed because I really was going to go buy her and her daughter an air mattress. And because she was not a special need, she didn't need oxygen, or she didn't, she was in great health, but they were sleeping on in the gymnasium. And we just got to do better. And I said, I know, I do. I sing praises, but I do believe our colleagues on different boards, as well as the county, we need to, and what I told them, they need to buy the cots, they need to sanitize them and store them. We don't have any place to store anything.
Right.
So they need to be able to store, but I do believe many of them will. Some mayors actually talk to me afterwards, but I do believe this is something that we can't just talk about.
No.
We need to, and I'm gonna put it on our chair, because he has a great relationship with county council to kind of push and say, let's have a conversation about this, because I know other districts, their school staff don't run anything. They open up the schools and they leave it to everybody else to run. I said, but fortunately, we do care, and it's our children and our parents. And so those are my 2 issues on helping to run our facility, and you would probably be the best person. I told them to talk to you of how could we look at that and create a schedule where we get input and help from everyone.
Yep. We also like to, they have a building program just like we do, all the municipalities. I know the county did open the fairgrounds, and they had 600 plus there with animals. But each, I think, in my opinion, all right, I'll put it my opinion, Greg Aiken's opinion, right, is each municipality, as during their building program that they have, they should be building in mind having a shelter for their citizens in their municipality and not totally rely on the school district for all of that. I do agree with also assisting in staffing. I think we take pride in what we do. We're probably, my opinion, I know we're the best in the state. We are by far, because we know we've done this once before. And so, you know, I think I do agree with you 100%, and I think it's a good conversation we need to move forward with.
And my last piece, if not with you, Superintendent Egner, in the spring, I really do think we need to have a conversation, because I know Representative Walks came by Henson Middle School.
Yeah, great.
And one of the things that was said, and I don't know if it's true, was, you know, why don't we put it out to see how many teachers or whoever would like to volunteer, because we are refunded 100% of their salaries. And I couldn't answer. I said, because I know we talked about this 2 years ago. I didn't know if that was true. Like, again, I don't want to belabor that today, but I believe it would be helpful, especially for our two new, if we really did have a workshop on what happened, how do we plan, how do we come up with the budget for this, for a hurricane or running a shelter.
So we have a hurricane plan. I'll be more than happy to share with you maybe a workshop. We can kind of go through A to Z. We got pre-storm, we got during storm, post-storm, and there's actions that take place. And it's a large document, and we've been more than happy to do that. And I'll go over, I think Ms. Muller and I can go over and give you the financials and from FEMA, what's reimbursed based on, you have to meet certain criteria. I'd be more than happy to do that at a workshop.
Right, because that was said, and then at the meeting on Monday, it's like, well, you're reimbursed. I said, I don't think we are reimbursed at 100%, but like I said, I can't say yes or no. Let me take that back to my colleagues, and let's have a workshop on that, because then that may be a horse of another color. But I wasn't certain. I didn't think so, but I couldn't with 100% confidence say that was incorrect.
Love to do a workshop on that. Perfect.
Mr. Aiken, did you want to respond to that rate of pay?
75-25.
75 meaning what?
75% and 25% we pay. They pay 75, we pay 25 based on FEMA damages and assessments. On staffing, it has to be validated with work orders and what you did and all of that during the storm to get reimbursed for that salary.
I get you.
So it's complicated. There's different sections. So it depends on what they're doing, pre-storm, during storm, post-storm. So you don't get 100% of all that funding back. It's based on categoricals, right? Cat A, B, C, D, E.
We have more questions.
Sure.
Mr. Cologne.
Just a quick one. So there is a segment of the population who had nowhere to go. And that is folks who have children with ventilators. The county says, contact your physician for admission to the hospital. Let me share something with you. The hospital's not a shelter.
Right.
And so I was at the special needs shelter at Galaxy, and we were chatting, and you know, one of the things I think we could look at is engaging our community hospitals to, even if we can come up with one place. Now, just like Ms. Wright said, I am still in a little disbelief that we own this much of it, but it is what it is until we change it. But because it is our work, you know, these families have nowhere to go. Some folks suggested they go to the hotels. Fortunately, some folks were able to advocate and we were able to find a safe place, but that safe place may not be there next time depending on capacity. We were fortunate that there was not a lot of capacity, so we could house these families with ventilators. And so it's not just those folks, it's folks with chronic illness, dialysis and all that. And so maybe, you know, where our school nurses are wonderful, one of the school nurses said, you know, they need us here, but they really need to have a nurse practitioner or a PA or somebody who could be here. And that may just be one shelter. That may be at Galaxy, you know, and, you know, hospital may bring a respiratory therapist. Again, we're not taking care of the patients, but we're there should something happen. In the same fashion, you've got, you know, at the one at Galaxy, they had an EMT. Well, we're grateful for that EMT, but ideally that should be a paramedic. It's a special needs shelter. So I think that that's something that we could definitely look at and establish some sort of a partnership with our community hospitals. Again, even if it's one place where you dedicate and say, okay, this is where the sickest of the sick are going to be because this is what we have to work with. Because right now they've got nowhere to go.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cologne. Ms. Cuthbert, would you mind if Ms. Wright just...
Yes, please.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was part of yesterday's conversation. And so the county manager did articulate that we need to look for a facility, because right now, none of the shelters are really equipped. And they did state yesterday that they will have to go to their physician, and it's up to their physician. If they have a chronic illness, I'm just telling you what was told us yesterday, that they have to find provisions, because we cannot and we should not have them in our shelters, because then we become liable in the event something should happen. And so that was part of this yesterday's conversation.
And that's what I heard when I went to this. Deltona did a meeting, and that's what I heard there. But the reality is, and again, I'm on both sides of that fence. When they call the hospital and say, you know, we want to bring our family here, because it's not just the patient, it's the whole family.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And so I think this is why we should have a conversation, because I mean, he was very clear on that yesterday.
Yeah. And again, it could be set up where it's one place where you've got, you know, more oxygen concentrators. You know, I know at Galaxy, you know, they're like, well, we've got 2 concentrators left. Okay, what if you got 5 patients? Mm-hmm. What do you do? Do you split the hose in 2 and turn it up to 4 to divide?
Yeah,
it by 2?
they actually have. We actually have a response team as well. So if that actually happened, they have more. The health department does. We can actually get it there. Same with oxygen bottles and stuff like that. We've had these issues before. Shelters are a last resort. You know, many days before you have the opportunity to start your planning, either get out of town, go stay with someone else, or do some of those things. We do see quite a bit of that. Even patients with dialysis came to our special needs shelters, and they had that set up at Palm Terrace. So we do take care of what we can take care of.
Ms. Cuthbert.
Our storms are going to continue to come. Mm-hmm. We have for the financial level or poverty level of our county, our community in Volusia County gives a great deal to our schools with backpacks, beginning schools, scholarships, donations, so kids can go field trips. This is, I think, a way that we get, and plus the support in the half-cent sales tax when it was renewed again. This is our way to give back to our community. And I think that needs to be published more. I think when I read in the newspaper that it was Volusia officials opening the schools, I went, no, it was Volusia County schools that are doing this. I think we need to let the public know what we are doing for them. Too many people think that the schools aren't doing anything or just opening up their schools. They have to understand they need to know what you're doing. They need to know the planning involved, and plus the expense. That this is all, as what Mrs. Morrissey said in the article that Cassidy Alexander wrote, this is all coming from our reserves. Well, the reserves are only going to be there for so long. If we get another one, there's a couple more coming that they may develop. How much can we handle? So not only do we need volunteers to come in, but they also need to be able to share the expense. So if we're helping all of our communities, then all of our communities need to help us as well.
Okay, Ms. Haynes.
So one other group that I think we need to consider that's showing up at our shelters, and then our staff is being asked to make special accommodations for them. And the bottom line is our staff's not trained to necessarily handle this. Is we have sexual predators that are also showing up at our shelters, and then there are shelters are, you know, our staff, they're having to make a separate place to put these individuals and make special accommodations. And my concern there is, even though we didn't have a large number of children, okay, because I visited the schools on this side, the bottom line is, you know, to ask our staff to then to accept sexual predators onto the campuses and make special arrangements for them, and then have to watch them and make sure that, I mean, because the bottom line is they're not putting them in a whole separate building. They're just, you know, marking off a spot or a room that's already connected to the cafeteria or the gymnasium to put them in. I have an issue with that. Like, I really think at that point, you know, the county should step in. And I think, you know, our sheriff's department or whatever should be involved, because who's responsible to watch them, 24/7 to make sure that everyone there is safe?
Yeah. So, two categories, right? Predator, offender. Predators are not allowed in the shelters, and predators have to go to the county jail or somewhere else to be housed during the storm. Offenders are by statute. So what we do, and that's why law enforcement, beach patrol, and our corrections are on our campuses during the shelters, is we do identify, they do self-identify, they do come and they do shelter somewhere else. And we do have our staff and their staff, the law enforcement, actually monitor them, their activities while they're on our property during the sheltering operations as well. So there are processes put in place. We do identify them, and we do. I understand what you're saying, but that we do have them in a separate location. So they're required to stay in that area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I can attest that. Any other comments? So then, getting back to Ms. Wright's issue about sometime later on,
Sure.
we can all get together, and I'd be happy to help out with that in any way that I may be able to get some more county support in this. And I certainly agree that if we could get some cots, maybe not a cot for every single person, but gosh, if we just had, 50, 100 cots at every place for the elderly and so on, that would certainly be a big help for everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you.
You all were amazing. Super. Thank you.
For your support. Thank you, sir.
And we'll continue. It's about 5 o'clock, so let's just have public participation if we have any. Okay. All right, Miss Albert, you're number one. You're number one. You're number one. You're number one. Miss Albert.
That's recorded.
It's okay. You want to pass that?
That needs to be in the minutes, too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Linda. So, good afternoon, Chairman
afternoon.
Persis, Mr. Egner, members of the board, members of the audience. Today, I'd just like to have a conversation. So, it was brought to my attention that there were some concerns regarding the presence of the folks who spoke at the last school board meeting. And I want to take a moment to address that, but I want to start this way. I know each of you. I have relationships with each one of you. Ida, you and I have a connection, right? Mr. Persis, you were my principal for a little while.
We have a connection.
And I know you guys, right? And so when I speak to you, I think that there is a difference because of our relationship. You know how passionate teachers are. You know how deeply teachers care about their children and how their desire is to give them everything that they need in order for them to be successful. And so I think that, and I know that that translates into their personality. And so I'm just a little concerned, and I don't want anyone to mistake people's passion for wanting to be able to give their students everything that they need to be confused or somehow associated with disrespect or anger. I can tell you that your paraprofessionals, your office specialists, and your teachers give their all to their kids, and you know this. You've worked you're a teacher, you know. You see it when you go. You all know that. And so my desire is for us to be heard and to be valued, and I believe you want to do that, but the question continues to be, when are things going to change? We hear all the time, oh, things are going to change, it's going to get better, and we wait and we hope, and then we find ourselves circling back to very similar concerns. The topic might be curriculum one year, then the next year it might be printers, and then it might be something else, but there are some common themes that seem to continually resurface, and that becomes very frustrating. And that's where the anxiety and the stress that is being felt is generated from. Even the most mundane things. When I was sitting listening to the hurricane presentation, I had two messages come across. This is what, the fourth week of school, let's say, sort of, with the whole storm situation. We still have schools that can't get their start times correct. It's very clear. The contract starts at one time, the student day starts at the other. Why is this a problem? It shouldn't be, but it is. And so these are some issues that build to teachers' frustration, and it comes out.
We hear you. Thank you, Ms. Albert. Thank you very much. Our next participant is Patrick. Is it Cure? Patrick? Yes. Hello, Patrick. Did you want to hand something out? Is that, if you hand it to Ms. Spire there, she'll just give them all the thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Chairman, Superintendent, board members. I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Patrick Cure. I have been a certified educator and advocate for students in Florida for over 24 years. Unfortunately, in my transition from South Florida to North Florida, I was released during my probationary period at Henson Middle School under the leadership of Mr. Robert Willett, then principal. An altercation happened in which I verbally reprimanded a student by saying, "If you do that again, you're not going to like it." I said this to a student after he rudely snatched an unsatisfactory paper from my hand in class. The child was then directed to go to 6th grade house for further discussion. An investigation was done, and a caution letter was written and placed in my file on February 7, 2017 by professional standards. Subsequently, on February 24th, 2017, Mr. Willett came into my classroom very aggressively and said, "Take this probationary termination letter. You don't have to sign it. Pick up your stuff and remove it from the school when you leave." I took my belongings and removed them from the school. This occurred in front of Mr. Dickens, then assistant principal. I was embarrassed and humiliated as a certified and professional educator, so much so that I left the district and applied to Orange County Public Schools. I worked there for the next school year, traveling 200 miles per day to Oak Ridge Middle School in Orlando. After this unbearable ordeal, I was able to transfer to Horace Mann Middle School in Miami for the 2018-2019 school year. I worked Monday through Friday and came home on the weekends. Needless to say, this was more unbearable, and this put a tremendous strain on my marriage and over 10,000 miles on my car that year. This year, 2 years later, I reapplied to Volusia County Schools as a science teacher. My application was flagged by ops for the caution letter in my file. However, after reaching out to Ms. Joy Crum, Volusia United Educators, and Mr. Robert Willett, now manager of ops, I was assured I could seek employment for this school year. I sought employment and was interviewed successfully. However, while trying to get clearance for background check and fingerprinting, a letter surfaced from the area superintendent stating Mr. Willett does not approve me for hiring. I immediately made an appointment with ops and met with Mr. Willett. He again assured me I was cleared by OPS and I could seek employment for the school year. I asked him for a letter from his office stating this, but he said his office could not generate such a letter clearing me for hire. However, he did say he would call the principal that conducted the interview, letting him know I was cleared. I don't know what happened after that, but the employment offer was taken off the table without correspondence from ops. I am seeking relief from the board because I was released during my probationary period without cause for a correctable offense.
And Mr. Cure, we're going to have to leave it at that because
Yes,
your
ma'am.
time is up. But
Okay,
thank you
ma'am,
for
yes.
this, and I think you read this into the record.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. All right, that concludes our public participation a part of the meeting, and now we are moving on to item 20.01. This would be administrative appointments, human resources update, Resources Officer will be coming forward. And here she is. Oh, yes. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman Persis, board members, Superintendent Egner. I'll give you a quick update. I didn't think I would have one because we were closed a majority of the week, but I was able to pull one together. We're down to 45 classroom vacancies. Of the 45, 21 are ESE positions. 5 in math, 5 are non-core, 1 is a media specialist, 3 reading, 4 English language arts, 3 intermediate, 1 gifted, and 2 ESOL. So we're working our way through them. At this time, I would like to present the superintendent's recommendation for administrative appointment. I'm pleased to present the recommendation of Dr. Jennifer Susie Peterson to the position of Director, Digital Learning Assessment and Accountability. Dr. Peterson began her career with Volusia County Schools in 1997. She has served in the capacity of teacher, teacher on assignment, assistant principal, specialist online learning, and coordinator of online learning. Dr. Peterson earned her doctorate, master's, and bachelor's degrees from the University of Central Florida. Her areas of certification are educational leadership, elementary education, middle grade social science, gifted, and exceptional student education.
Mr. Superintendent.
The superintendent recommends approval of the administrative appointment.
And is she here?
Yes, she is.
I see you back there. Okay. Would you like to come forward and say anything? Well, of course. Well, then, I'm glad I asked. And just pull that microphone just a little closer and just state your name and your title. Your new title, or about to be. New title, yes.
Dr. J. Susie Peterson, Director of Digital Learning and Assessment now.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, Chairman Persis, Ms. Wright, Ms. Cuthbert, Ms. Hayes, Mr. Cologne, and Superintendent Egner. Thank you for entrusting me with this assignment. I am honored and privileged. 21 years in education has led me to this point, and I'm very excited. I never intended, though, to be an educator. I ran from it. I hid, and I tried to do everything else. I was in waitressing. I was a flight attendant, dental assisting, and lawn maintenance. And I'm a professional student, by the way. My husband nudged me to go to Pine Ridge to go to the job fair. He will take all the credit for everything since then, and I'm not going to argue with him. It's appropriate. He did nudge me into education, and Ms. Casal, Melissa Casal from DeLand Middle, hired me on a hunch. I was told that I needed to go into a classroom and get some experience as a substitute, and she just, on a hunch, hired me, and I was very pleased. So this begins my thank you list. So I will try to be fast because I have a 2-minute warning, I think. Thank you to Melissa Casal, John Posinelli, Larry McFall, Liz Pierce, Jonathan Pierce, Jill Bosco, Matt Krajewski, Jason Watson, Mike Elmore, Bill Dunnigan, Sheila Brennan, and all the DeLand Middle Terriers. The fun kept me in this business, and the relationships pushed me to grow every day. To Carl Persis, Shannon Hay, Mike Lucero, Marcy Godin McCorkle, Elizabeth Albert, Angie Grover, Lori Lamondi, Meg Fisher, and all the Woodward superstars for helping me and supporting me at the elementary level. And boy, did I learn a lot. You can ask Miss Albert.
Miss Albert.
Yes. To my McGinnis family, where I was the assistant principal. McGinnis truly is the best kept secret in the district, hands down. To my Volusia online learning family. Beginning with Dr. Carr, Melissa Carr. She empowered me to look at every student as an individual and to create personalized learning experiences for everyone. She empowered me to think outside the box. She encouraged me to be innovative. To my dynamic group of VOL, my team, they strive every day to meet the needs of every student. They work with EBD, They work with hospital homebound, home instruction, off-campus instruction, part-time virtual, full-time virtual, e-learning labs, credit retrieval labs, and many more. They visit schools, and I hope that they know that the relationships with the students are the most important. We have grown together over the years in so many ways, and I love and respect all of them, especially to Deb Bozeman, Marjorie Fagan, Deb Harnett, sorry. Rachel McQueen, Vicki Hamlin, and Krista, thanks for handling everything. To Amy Blowers, thank you for being a model for grit and determination. And to Mary Timmerance, my rock. They actually make me look good. To Rachel Hazel, thank you for supporting me even when I didn't know that I needed it. And my new family in digital learning, they were already part of my family, so I feel like I already know them. Thanks in advance, and I already apologize for all my corny jokes. There are 3 educators that have passed away that had a profound impact on my life. Pam Bachman, Leslie McMasters, and Jean Boyle. Jean Boyle was actually the principal of St. Matthew's in Montana when I taught there for 3 years. They are the models of putting students first in all decisions and the importance of relationships and having fun. I was taught it was okay to sing the announcements in the morning. It was okay to decorate your classroom in a way that would give Joanna Gaines a run for her money. And it is okay to deliver butterflies to people's houses all over all the weekends. And only because the students and their families are just worth it. It is worth it to build those relationships. I will be forever grateful for the day that Christy Mahaney walked into my classroom as a Stetson junior intern, and then again as a senior intern. I did not know then that she would become my partner in crime, my ride or die, the Thelma to my Louise, but without the crime or death, and the Rachel to my Phoebe. I am the one that is very lucky. Thank you is not enough for her friendship and support. It is amazing how decisions and thoughts have a domino effect on the way your life turns out. Each decision has a consequence, and the decision to take the job offered by Melissa Casal in 1997 forever changed my life. To my family, I can't leave them out. My 3 brothers, Mike, Chris, and Sean, thanks for making me strong, and they did. My sister, Michelle, thanks for being my role model for how to do life. To all of my entire family, nieces, nephews, greats, in-laws, I have one big crazy family, and that's how I am who I am. To my mom, she is everything that I strive to be in life. To my dad, who I lost 2 years ago. He is the reason why I have my humor, my sarcasm, and my work ethic. He gave me my grit. And I gotta flip over. To my husband, because I can't leave him out, and my 3 kids. Brody is an 11th grader at DeLand High, Clayton is a 7th grader at DeLand Middle, and Delaney is a 5th grader at Citrus Grove Elementary. They all 4 are my miracles that make life worth living, and it is truly one moment in time that changed my life, meeting my husband. Lastly, to all of my students, actually it's not lastly, but to all of the students that have taught me over the years, because they truly have taught me more than I would ever teach them. My students are amazing, and that's why we're in this business, and every decision that we make as a school district needs to have students first, period. And we have to educate not only the students, but also the families, because a 21st century education is totally different than the way I was educated. There are choices out there that families have, and they are choosing other options, and they want those options. They are striving for the best for their students. Every student needs to be educated in a way that fits them, and that's personalized learning. And to God, through whom all things are possible, and this day proves it, quite frankly. And again, thank you for this opportunity, and I am ready and prepared.
You certainly are, and that was 21 years of built up.
It was.
Built-up expression.
Thank you for indulging me in my Oscar speech.
We're going to take a 2-minute recess. Well, we have to vote, I know. And then we're going to take a recess because we want to get a photo.
Okay, does Mr. Cologne get a vote?
Does he get to vote? Yes.
He's already talked to me.
Yes, he is a voting member. You have a recommendation, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'll even say it again. I recommend it. I did say it.
Okay, would you have
So moved.
A move and a second?
Second.
And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that's it. All right, now
Thank
we're going to take this photo. Come on, Susie. Okay, we're reconvening our meeting, and the next item is, we take two of these, 21.01, 21.02, Mr. Craig Pender, regarding student discipline, regarding attendance, and student discipline regarding transportation.
All right. Good evening, Chairman Persis, school board members, and Mr. Egner. Today, we have two requests concerning student discipline. For the first request, a recommendation is made to the superintendent that he requests the board extend the suspension on students Alpha ID 1 SCRB, 1 QQIH, 1 WPOJ, and 1 SVBC from school attendance through September 24th, 2019, for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Pender. Mr. Superintendent?
The superintendent recommends the board extend the suspension of students Alpha ID 1 SCRB, 1 QQIH, 1 SVBC, and 1 WPOJ from school attendance through September 24th, 2019 for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. And a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Cuthbert. Any questions, discussion? Ms. Cuthbert?
I do, and I think I know the answer. When we were closed last week for hurricanes, these students will not, that doesn't count,
No, when
correct?
school's not in session, nothing happens. Because we have some other kids who are out on different things that yeah, it doesn't count. So they're
Okay, so 3 days are added.
No, those
Oh,
days
so-
don't count. They don't exist.
Oh,
With
okay.
no school, they don't exist. They never occurred.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, we got a motion, we got a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Pender?
All right. For the second request, a recommendation is made to the superintendent that he requests the board extend the suspension on students Alpha ID 1 QMUX, 1 RSZP, and 1 SHAS for school-sponsored transportation through September 24th, 2019, for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Pender. Mr. Superintendent?
The superintendent recommends the board extend the suspension to students Alpha ID 1 QMUX, 1 RSZP, 1 SHAS from school-sponsored transportation through September 24, 2019, for the purpose of further study and evaluation.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. And a second?
Second.
By Mr. Cologne. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Pender. As you know, item 23.01 was pulled, so we go right to a board action item. This is item 24.01, facilities use agreement between the School Board of Volusia County and the town of Pearson, Florida. Presenters, we have Stacy Manning and Sarah Lee Morrissey. Do we have any public comment cards on this item? All right, then let's...
Item before you, item 24.01 is the facilities use agreement for the property that the district will retain ownership of upon closing of the sale of the old Pearson School. This was a requirement in the purchase agreement for closing. And I'll go ahead and Ms. Morrissey address some of the specifics that are in the agreement. I will say that this is the last hurdle for us to be able to close. The money is being held in escrow, so once the agreement is finalized, we'll be able to go ahead and close that transaction.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Egner. This facilities use agreement implements specific terms that were in the purchase and sale agreement with the town of Pearson. I want to clarify one thing that Mr. Manning said. This facilities use agreement is to enable the school board to continue to use Building 6 and Buildings 10. Building 10 is a classroom building, Building 6 is the media center. We currently store instructional materials in the classroom building, and we utilize the media center on an intermittent basis to organize and work with those materials. Those two buildings, along with much of the rest of the old campus, will be owned by the town of Pearson. So we will be a user of their facility. And that's what this agreement sets forward. That agreement, like I said, it implements the provisions that were in the contract. Article 1 indicates that it's irrevocable and perpetual. Article 3 specifies what I had mentioned, which buildings are allowed to continue to be used. Also indicates that we have some portables on the property right now. Some of the portables are on the property that the board will retain, and some of the portables are on the property that will be conveyed to the town. We are in the process of moving, relocating, and/or demolishing those portables. A portion of Article 3 spells out that they can continue to be there until the end of 2020. Not our expectation that that will be that long, but that's the provision that's in there. Article 3 also provides for access, and that any encroachments other than what was mentioned can continue. Article 5 includes the provision that the town will pay for the utilities of our usage of those two buildings. Article 6, repairs and maintenance. We will provide custodial service. That will be, right now, it's scheduled for once weekly. We'll see how that goes. I'm not convinced it needs to be once weekly, but right now that's what we've arranged with ABM. As you, I believe, know, the remaining property that the board will own is Pearson Transportation. It's our fuel island, buses, and some limited, only a few people, but Pearson Transportation operates out of there. And then the remainder of the paragraph of the articles of the agreement are legalese in nature, language that we see in many agreements.
Mr. Manning, did you have any other comment?
No, that's it. If we have any questions about specifics on what this address is and whose responsibility things are, we'll be happy to address those questions. Otherwise, we ask that you all approve this agreement, and we'll go ahead and get that transaction wrapped up.
Sure. Okay, board members, questions for our presenters? Mr. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. The superintendent recommends approval of the facilities use agreement between the School Board of Volusia County and the town of Pearson.
Thank you. You've heard the motion. Do I have you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. And a second?
Second.
By Ms. Cuthbert. I just want to say thank you for crafting the contract and protecting our interests in that. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. Ms. Cuthbert had a question.
Mr. Manning, do you write all of that?
Actually, this came from our outside counsel, Alex Ford,
okay.
that was handling the transaction before I got here. So.
I just wondered, we get these so many times, I don't know who writes them.
Right.
It's just kind of interesting, just a little.
They just come out of the sky and fall down.
It was well done, so thank you.
Yes, it was. Thank you. And thank you again. All right. Is there any public participation about anything else? Okay. So we are now on item 26, board members. So, Mr. Superintendent, we can start with you if there's any items you'd like to follow up on. Or
thank you for asking. No, I have nothing to add to the discussion at this time. Thank
Found
you.
us right here.
I almost want to apologize for those of us who are infected for being
like
around
Ms.
the rest
Haynes
of you.
and Ms. Wright are kind of caught in it right here, but let's hope everyone maintains their good health. Ms. Wright, any comments?
Yes, so I want to go back to yesterday's meeting I
Yes.
had with Volusia County's
The round table.
round table. You were emailed 2 documents, and I wanted you to have them because both of them were very interesting discussions. One was the overview of the fire service in Volusia County, and at one time, I believe in 2010, they talked about or spoke about combining these services with all the municipalities. But they went through the PowerPoint. You can read, you're educated, so I don't have to go through this. But the one that I really want to just touch bases on real quickly is the smart growth. And Sarah Lee, can you come back right quick? And the reason why I want to talk about this one, because it could potentially, and it will potentially impact the school board. I learned yesterday after the 2010 census that the school board and the county council met to go over boundaries.
Oh.
And we are approaching the 2020.
Now I know what you're talking
about.
about.
The 2020 census.
Yeah.
And we will be sitting down with the county, or you all will be sitting down with the county council to talk about boundaries again. And the reason this is important, because one of the pleas that I heard, or that they said to me directly, and I told them to contact you, was they really want to see where the school board and the county council will mirror one another again, versus the school board having members cherry pick one little area that they want to add to their, whatever the issue was, but to their district. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so this will be important because it has also been rumored that the county council is looking at having 6 councilmen and an elected chair, meaning 7 members. And if that is something that happened, no one confirmed the rumor or not, but that if that is something that should happen, then potentially they will be looking at the board to follow suit to be a party of 7 versus that of 5. And so I'm just making you aware, because I mean, it was a lot of conversation about the redistricting and looking at this and making sure that we mirror one another and all of that great stuff. But they did ask that I bring that back to my colleagues and to you. But they said they know who they need to contact on our end about that.
And I apologize if you mentioned this and I missed it. Did they indicate the time frame that they would want to begin the evaluation process of the districts and the boundaries?
And no, they did not. And so I know that we will have our census taken between January or February and April or May.
End of April.
And so I'm sure after that, probably in the summer or early fall, start looking at those lines and aligning them to one another.
Okay.
So just want to give you a heads up and give
I
my colleagues a
appreciate
head
that.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in here too. I've been in communication with their communication office, and I'm on a subcommittee with them working on how to communicate it together. So if it goes along with what you're talking about.
So there you go. Yes. But I did email this to you so you can look at, and it started with the smart growth, and so from there we had the discussion of boundaries and how 2020 and the big push is that we make sure that the citizens in our area participate in the census, because for every 1,000 every 1,000 household or people that are not counted, each district, area, city easily lose over $1 million+ dollars. So it's so important that the citizens in our districts are counted, and we need to make every effort as a district and as representatives for our particular areas to encourage them, our citizens or our constituents, to make sure they participate in the census, because every time they refuse to complete one, our cities, our county, and our school board lose money.
Yep. That's right. Great. Thank you so much for that. I remember wearing my other hat during the last census. I was a member of the county council, and I remember meeting with the school board and going through this. And because from the public's point of view, I know they would just think a county council District 5 is the same as school board District 5, and District 1 is District 1, and District 2 is District 2.
It used to be like that, actually.
It used to be back in 2000, I think, and then it was changed again in 2010. And so even though it's close, it's not lined up. And then, of course, if they do go to a 6, because as you all know, they voted to elect their chair. which is what some school boards are now doing too. But with the county council, the way it affects them, as Ms. Wright was alluding to, is they still have a leftover, I call it leftover. Ben Johnson would kill me if I refer to him as a leftover, but they have that at-large county council position, a person elected countywide, but they had that way back in the day when they had 2 county council at-large positions, and then they had 5 districts, 2 county council at-large, and then they would appoint their chair the way we've been appointing the chair. And then when they moved in 2004 to elect their county chair, that was the elected person. Now they have this other person who's also, and it just seems a little out of place. So Ms. Wright was telling me that their intent is to make each district a little smaller. So you'd have 6 individual districts and then 1 county chair elected from the entire county. So we'll see how it goes. And anyway, we thank you for that. And thank you, Ms. Wright, for attending that meeting. Seems like it was a very interesting one.
It was a very interesting one.
Yeah.
That's it for me,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Colon, you'd like to go
So
next?
I'll just echo the importance of the census. I saw Alberto from South Florida posted something on Twitter, and they're starting to use a joint logo background for the census.
Say that again. What is
so
that?
It's, you know how you have your background where they do like the press photos and
Yeah.
that kind of thing? Well, they have a joint logo, so it would say Volusia Schools, and I think it's Be Counted or something
I
like
see.
that. And so we saw the presentation when we were at the Florida School Board Association. Basically, everything that goes out from now until next April is going to have that joint, because the reality is that we touch more people than anyone else does. So
I asked Kelly to come forward because we were just reviewing some material she's working on for the census.
Which
and
we
maybe you could
created
give
what
us
you were talking about. We have
a
it.
quick commercial
Mhm.
on
So-
where we stand with this.
So Kelly, you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, Kelly Schultz, Director of Community Information, and I've been talking with members of the county PIO division, and they're setting up meetings starting next week being part of a subcommittee with them regarding this. We created a flyer. We looked at what was put out there by the Census Bureau, and we created one with a logo, with our logo involved in it, and we ran it by them, and they like it. So the next step is to run it by all of you. So.
Great. And that's what I wanted you to know, because I looked at it and said, we don't want anything to go out unless the board has had a chance to review it.
Great. Ms. Wright.
And so for that, and we may want to discuss this as well. So I know that the county council appointed 2 members. So Billy Wheeler from District 2 and Barb Gertman from District 1. So I yield to any of you if we decide we want to, have 2 from ours to maybe do a 3 and a 5 or whatever, because
Right.
they have 2 and 4 already, or
Sure.
2 and 1. 2 and 1 already covered from the county council.
Gotcha. Okay. So will somebody be getting in touch with us, or is that the superintendent's
Well, I think
call?
that would be something we would probably need to decide, and then one of you would reach out to Ed Kelly
Yeah.
or the county chair to say, hey, well, we have 2 representatives from the school board.
Gotcha. And they have representatives from districts 1 and 2? Is that
1
what
and
you
2,
said?
Billy Wheeler and Bob Gertman. Yeah, that's 1 and 2.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Kelly. So when were you going to show us the?
Well, that has to yet to be determined. I was going to talk to Mr. Egner a little
Okay.
further about it and where our plans are rolling
Still-
it out.
still working through
We
it,
were tentatively thinking and talking with the county staff members that we were looking at probably sometime mid-October would be a good time to start rolling this all out. That gives us several months to push how important the census is. And our flyer that we came up with really shows how it affects the schools and the children and the funding and all of that, how it affects us directly. And then the county will be focusing more on how it affects the county in general. So.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Mr. Colon, you still have the floor if you need to say anything else. Ms. Cuthbert?
Yes, I have several. First of all, I want to thank Elizabeth Albert for agreeing with the 2 unions to host a luncheon on November 8th. It's another way for those 2 unions can have a contact with the semifinalists. So thank you for doing that, for agreeing to my request. Thank you. Let's see, I do have a couple of things. I have a question that I would be nice if we could have an answer. I'd like to know if we have any students who bring a service dog with them to school, and is it possible, do we have teachers or staff members that can do that? Is there a request for that? Because I've had a substitute ask me, because he feels more comfortable with his service dog. So is that allowed? Is that permissible? And also, let's see, I have that one. Let's see, okay. This is, as a teacher, planning time is extremely important. I feel that every single teacher should have planning time each and every day. It may not be spelled out in a contract, but every person deserves that time, because it's just not planning time anymore. It's answering emails, it's calling parents, it's using the restroom, it's eating in front of a computer. And it's extremely important that we have this certain, that this is extremely important to the well-being of all of our employees, especially teachers. So I hope we continue to do that, that they get a minimum of 30 minutes, or a class period, or whatever it is. Everyone gets it. And too many people forget the special area instructors. They too deserve planning time as well. And also, one more thing, I did have, as we think about more, if we get more storms, I did have a request from a teacher who said, is there any way, as we consider if we have to take any more time away, do not take time away from instructors, especially when they're supposed to have free time in their classrooms, like set aside professional development time or an ISE day. Last year, I think we did take an ISE day away and they would prefer to keep their time that the district has given them for planning time in their classrooms, to kind of stay off of our time in the classroom, if that's at all possible. Okay.
Is that it?
That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cuthbert. Ms. Haynes.
So I'd first like to thank Mrs. Dana Page Pender for the update tonight, to know that we only have 45 vacancies at this time. Yeah. And I'd like to know, is there anything else that we can do to help fill those? I really feel to some degree we need to look nationally, because school just started actually yesterday in some of our northern states. Yeah. And I'd like to continue to find those people to fill those slots. And I understand when you have 21 in ESE, that makes it a little bit more difficult, because I think that's similar to the numbers that we had last time. But I do appreciate all the work that everyone has done to try to fill those. We're in a much better place than where we were last year. If I can ask Miss Rachel Hazel a question, I would like to ask. Of course,
Miss Rachel Hazel.
So I know the hurricane, kind of stalled everything, but do you have an update on where we are with the textbook, like the missing textbook pieces for elementary?
Can I get my computer really quickly?
Yes.
This was going out in an email to you all in just a few minutes anyway, so this will save me that. Let me just pull it up. I apologize.
That's okay.
So to answer the question, what's left on back order, the first grade Writing Wonders books, that was remember the students in first grade had 3 different textbooks. And that was one piece that was missing. They started arriving this week.
So all student materials are here in the county, and those are being distributed as we speak. Most of the third grade teacher editions have arrived, and all schools have received volume 1 of the third grade teacher editions. McGraw-Hill provided copies of volumes 2, weeks 1 and 2, while we're waiting on the others to come in. So they've got through week 2 of volume 2 on their campus. Most of the 5th grade textbooks, or teacher editions, have arrived. I think we're waiting on, the last number I got was about 30, but that may have, as they come in, we're sending them out, so I'm waiting on those. All teachers have access to digital materials, so I'm going to keep emphasizing that. They can move ahead if they need to on the digital materials. Right now, we're sorting through the numbers. This is what Ms. Cyrier is working on at this time, is looking at what our actual student counts are and redistributing those materials. So she's contacting schools where we had projected more numbers than what they actually have and sending those to schools who have more students than what we projected. So that's where we are right now.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Egner, my next question is for you. And so I know that, you know, we kind of got stalled with the hurricane and everything, but where are we at as far as units? Have you had all of your meetings and looked at the numbers and the counts and made adjustments where they need to be made?
Thank you for asking that. I don't have the documentation that shows the count, but the staffing committee meets at least once a week, and they analyze the master schedules prior to the meeting, and I've been a part of most of those meetings. So the process is numbers approach, and then often a discussion with the group, and then often contacts with the school to have further discussion. And at the end of each one of those meetings, there's a summary of what's happened and not happened. And I'm sure that I can ask for a comprehensive report to come from Deb Muller on the results of that committee and give you a, I don't want to guess, but I can give you a very specific school-by-school tallying. There have been some schools that received units. There's been several that lost units. An effort was always made to try to take it from advertised positions if at all possible. But off the top of my head, I would hesitate to give you an exact answer, but I think we can get that to you tomorrow.
Okay, and the other question or request I have of you is, so as we learned this morning about 7 middle schools that are running a different schedule.
It's actually 5. I was mistaken.
Okay.
It's 5.
All right, so 5 middle schools. That's a better number.
It is a better number.
The other 2, just to clarify, the 7 wasn't a mistake. There are 7, but 2 of them are alternative sites, so they fall under 1. So there's 5 actual middle schools.
Okay.
Middle schools.
So, and it is the time of the year where we should really actually know what is everyone's start time and what is everyone's end time, because sometimes we just assume that every elementary school is starting at the same time and they're all ending unless they're a +1. But is there any way that we could just receive by email, by school, the correct start and stop times so that we have an idea of what's happening? Because I'm continuing to still get some emails and questions about transportation. And, I spoke last time. Yep. There's some real issues at some of the schools in District 1, and I know that there's a few at in the other districts that we just didn't prepare or plan to be able to get the number of students in and out of those schools when there's only a single road in and out. And so I'm continuing to hear from parents that say, my child was supposed to be home. And sometimes I think it may be on us. And, transportation's done a great job, but if they can't get a bus in to get them, then they can't get them out. But I also sometimes when I hear the numbers of when the children were, or the time the children were supposed to be dropped off, it's kind of not realistic. Because like if school lets out at 4:15, I've been out there and loaded buses you can't really drop somebody off by 4:23. And so, you know, when we project, no, but I mean,
You're
when
right.
parents have been told they'll be dropped off at 4:23, I'm telling you right now, even if the bus is there at 4 o'clock and the door's open so that when they dismiss at 4:15 and you load them, you're not going to drop anyone off at 4:23. So I'm concerned that some of the bus schedules that we put out, especially for afternoon, have unrealistic times on them before we even add the fact that the bus can't even pull into the school till 4:47 to start loading kids. So I'd just like some updates on that, because
Certainly.
we have some parents frustrated, and I've gone to those sites and watched the buses come in and out, and I'm not blaming the buses because they can't get in, but if we've projected unrealistic times that we will drop students off, then I think we need to make an adjustment on
Update the
that.
schedule. I don't know. Mr. Aiken, did you want to comment on any? I know it's an ongoing process. But I believe you told us last time you were going to be taking another look at the routes and.
We have, and so Greg Aiken, Chief Operating Officer. So yes, to answer your questions, we have done a review. We did another review this week. We were supposed to do it last week, a second review. So the majority of our buses are actually getting on time. We do have a couple school areas that we still have concerns with, but the majority are getting on time. We're starting to get a little bit better with timing. Really, this is the third week for us. I mean, one day Friday last week didn't really count, but this week's the third week, and we're seeing a good progress moving forward. I didn't get a report today. I was supposed to get an update today. I didn't get one today, but I can share that once when I get that tomorrow. So they were looking at Area 4, which is the land area, and Area 6, which 5 actually covers your area, which is University High School. So we're looking at those two areas. We got about 4 buses, I think, right now that are really running late. So we're trying to divide and conquer there.
River Springs is huge.
Yes, it is. So it's River Springs, Manatee Cove, and University High School. And the majority of the problem is getting in and out of University High School. And so we're trying to resolve that issue. We're going to try to set up a meeting with, with Orange City to see if they can help us with some law enforcement down there.
What about
Ms.
Silver
Cuthbert,
Sands?
go ahead.
Silver Sands is another one. Silver Sands has always been that way. You're starting to see more riders now in Silver Sands buses, so I think you're going to see some of the traffic come down just a little bit, but that's another area that we've done traffic observations on. Same with New Smyrna Beach Middle School. A lot of our middle schools we're currently right now fine adjusting right now with a lot of parents like to go. They probably get off at 4, like to pick up their kids at 4:15. So it's a higher number of parents going into the middle schools than we have seen in the afternoon times for us. So we're trying to adjust that as well.
So
Ms. Haynes.
I still have students getting home way after 5.
Yeah, I've asked for that. Yeah, I've asked for
Especially
that
from
data.
River Springs Middle. River Springs Middle, and I mean, it's one road in. There's no other way to get in there. And, you know, I understand asking the city, but there's no other way to, you know, there's just no other path to get in there. So I don't know what we're going to ask the city to do. I mean, DeBerry themselves has come up with, you know, a plan to help with DeBerry Elementary, which I don't know if that meeting's taken place yet. You know, and as far as university goes, I myself have offered some suggestions, because I think your parent, you know, the fact that you're calling the parent pickup loop the little thing by the office, that's causing a huge part of the backup at University High. You know, I'm fine with talking to Orange City or talking to, you know, the mayor, but we've got one road in. I mean, Manatee Cove and River Springs, it's a single road in, and you can't even come back out that road. So I think we've got to do more than just talk to Orange City. I think we need to look at the property and figure out another.
Right, we've looked at, and then we're still exploring right now, can we swap, can we put the students in the back and faculty up front? Can we swap the bus loops? I mean, that's all, we have to analyze a lot of that. The problem with University High School is they have the ESC drop-off mini loop in the back. So we've already done several things at University High School that improved, but it's not exactly where we want to be. Some of the other concerns that we had early on were elementary schools holding the buses in the morning time, not letting them drop off until 7:30. They're supposed to be dropping off at 7:20. So some of those issues, we've already tried to resolve some of that. So we're seeing some improvements. Are we where we want to be? No, by we're not at all. We're not making excuses either. So we are moving in that direction. And like I said, I'll give you the report as soon as I get it tomorrow. I've asked for the number of late buses in the evening, the number of late buses in the morning time. So those are the ones we're going to concentrate on trying to get them fixed. Some of our routes are an hour and 15 long anyway. So if you get off at 4:15, they're not going to get home to 5:30. Some of these routes are an hour long for middle schools.
But if they're an hour long and that's the realistic part, did we realistically did we give that correct time to parents?
The answer is yes. We adjust those based on traffic. We do, when we first initially have those established, we do it based on historical data. What does it take last year to get that bus in and out? Obviously, this year it's a little bit different based on our bell times and then more traffic we have to deal with morning and afternoon. So we are now adjusting those to allow for that additional time. That means we're taking routes or stops off of routes, putting them on other buses that can get there. I've noticed several of our buses have improved just by doing that alone because we're spending a little bit more time where we shouldn't be in the school trying to get out of there. So we are looking at all of that. There's not a perfect cookie cutter that we can just place over, university and say this is going to work. I think it's going to be a multitude of things that we have to put in place to make it functionable so we can be successful down the line.
And I believe you'll get to a point to fix university.
And River Springs, because if I fix university, River Springs is going to be fixed. Because there's where my issue is. We're running late coming out of there. And the other part of that is we only gave ourselves 35 minutes to run a high school run. So I think my staff are doing a great job getting in, getting out, and getting back to that school, middle school, in a timely manner to be able to get there.
And truly, I'm not saying anything at all against the bus drivers because I have watched them just sit there and not be able to move. They're sitting in traffic and they can't get in. But, I see ways, and I even talked with administration and even Mr. DeVito, who used to be at university.
Sure.
And, they have some great ideas, which I think if you talk to them, they could share. My big thing is River Springs because when you're trying, and maybe you've increased even the bus number, but the last time it was 20 buses trying to get in there and they're just sitting out there.
Yeah,
Can't get in.
Scholars Way, I think, is the road in front of River Springs. Don't hold me to the name, but I think it's Scholars Way, right?
Yes.
So it's a one-way road,
Yes.
but buses can come in, the bus loop, and exit back out to, was it Blue Springs? And then make a left or right if they need to. So
they can't get in.
That's the problem because we're backing. That's the problem because we're backing up, and there's a stop sign down at the end where the parent loop is. So we'll go back and reevaluate that. But some of the problem is still stemming from dropping off the high school kids to try to get into the middle school on time. We have some buses wanting to get in, but not all. Most of our middle schools have what we call a double load. So we'll load first load because the other ones, the bus loop is not big enough to put all the buses there. So we'll load first 10, bring in the second 10 and go. So we're trying to make all those timing adjustments, definitely at River Springs for sure.
So one other thing that came up I guess I just never faced it. I had my own child in band, but he played drums, so we had a set of drums at home and a set of drums at school. But I've been told that some students cannot bring their instruments on the bus, and I just never knew that we were keeping students from bringing instruments on the bus if they were over a certain size. Is that true?
That is true, and it's been posted on our transportation page for many years, 15, 18 years, however long I've been here. It's been on our page. There's certain band instruments that take up a seat, and so all seats are assigned, so we can't have a student, take up one long seat with a band instrument in their backpack. So we have to make sure that they can sit on their lap or go underneath the seat in front of them, and then they're allowed to bring that instrument home and back to school again. If it's a larger instrument, we don't have the space to be able to transport that. Plus, it becomes a safety issue on the bus as well. With a larger instrument there, God forbid if the bus got into an accident, we want to make sure that students are safe. So we look at the bus from that standpoint as well, from safety for all students that are on the bus.
Okay, so Mr. Egner, with that being said, I think as parents put their children into middle school and they want to put them in band, I think somehow they need to know, we need to communicate with them up front that if your child ends up selecting to play the tuba, that they cannot ride the bus with the tuba.
That's true.
It's been that way forever.
I mean, because...
But that is true. It's the way it's always been, though. This isn't a change.
Well, and like I said, I didn't know because my son played the drums and we had a set at home and he had a set there, so he didn't have to transport it on the bus. And so it was something new that I learned. And I'm not opposed to it, but I think we need to do a better job communicating, because if that parent then does not have the ability to transport the instrument, we're penalizing a kid who wants to do something.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ms. Haynes, you still have the floor. You're good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Aiken. Again, Ms. Rachel, just want to ask you a question, if I could. I know we have a professional learning day coming up, September, is it 16th? Next Monday. I just could give it just quickly, like, what are the teachers going to be doing that day? What's happening out there?
Well,
What will happen out there?
so that seems like it should be an easy answer, but it's not that easy to answer that question because everybody will be doing something a little bit different. Our schools last year, and backed by popular demand, requested that they be able to design their own day to meet their needs for their teachers, and so we have schools doing a variety of different things. Some of it is very guided planning. Some of it is looking at new programs that they are doing this year. Some of it's taking a deeper dive into our textbooks. There is a lot of different things going on, but it's all school-based and it's at the schools, directed by the schools.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's what I needed to hear. Okay, well, I like you, and we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Well, I didn't know either. My son did play the drums, but I was like you. We took him to school and picked him up, so it didn't impact me.